This is the pipe board that I won the Pipeline Masters on in '91.
Yeah.
And it's a Pat Rawson, it's a 7/8 channel bottom. Definitely a collector's. It's been stuck in France for many years since I've moved back, and I've just received them last week, so it's a very special piece for me.
What were the conditions like when you won pipe that year?
It was really big and really gnarly.
Yeah.
And there was stuff coming from Second Reef, and I think no one really wanted to deal with it.
Yeah.
And it was sort of lumpy. It wasn't a clean pipe, but it was really solid and mean, and I had some really good heats with Derek Ho and Tom Carroll. Yeah, it was.
Who was in the final?
I think in the final it was the late Ronnie, the late Ronnie Burns,
yeah,
Poto,
yeah,
and Glenn Winton.
Pretty loaded final then.
Yeah, you know, I think everyone was expecting Ronnie Burns to win, and he got second, I believe. It was pretty close, if I can remember.
Yeah.
But
was that a Triple Crown winning year as well?
That was a Triple Crown winning year.
Did that win in the Pipe Masters sealed the Triple Crown for you?
Yeah, that was the second one that I'd won. I think I still hold the record for that, actually.
The most number of Triple Crowns?
Well, the only Aussie to have won two.
Won two.
Bede nearly picked me off at the 6 this year, but he nearly did. But anyway, someone else will come up with it sooner or later.
Yeah, but it was that victory that sealed the victory.
Yeah.
Of the Triple Crown, didn't it?
Yeah.
And with this board, was there much? Were you involved much in the design of it with the pipe? Did you have pipe in mind? Was there specific logic?
Yeah, Pat shaped this for me specifically for pipe, and it's a 7/8. It's the biggest one I had for pipe.
Show us the channels on the bottom.
It's they're not really really massive channels, but this board worked amazing at pipe, and I'd surfed it two or three times before the contest, and then after winning the event on it, it just went straight into the garage.
And you said recent. What was any design logic behind it for pipe specifically?
I really wanted the finer channels, not as deep as the clinker bottoms that you'll see in the next board.
Yeah.
Just because I knew that at pipe, I just felt much more comfortable on a channel bottom than a flat bottom there.
Yeah.
And basically quite narrow. I don't know what the dimensions are on this, but I remember that we did make it a lot narrower than the Sunset boards.
And you said recently you're offered 35 grand for it.
Yeah, I've got a collector that's hunting this down right now, and but he can't have it. If you're listening.
Fair enough, okay.
Yeah, we've got that one, and then this one over here. This board was shaped in 1985 by Alan Byrne, and it's the board that I won. It was a weird year in Hawaii. They actually had to run 2 events back to back at Sunset, and the first event I believe was the Hard Rock Cafe, and it was 10 to 12 foot sunset, just not a drop of water out of place, as good as it can get, really light trades. And I won that event, and the next day had to start in the, I think it was the Billabong.
Yep.
And it was 12 to 15 feet and clean and perfect. So this...
It's like 4 days of sunset straight, basically.
2 weeks.
Just 2 weeks.
2 weeks, it was 2 events,
Yep.
back to back. And so that's a bit of history there with that. But
and how did you go in both? Did you win both events?
Both events.
Both events back to back.
Back to back, yeah.
On this board.
Yeah. And so this is a real special one for me, and you can see it's an original Kong model.
Yep.
Back then.
Is that a Triple Crown year as well?
That was a Triple Crown year as well.
In 85 and 91.
In 80, no, this was made in 85,
okay.
87.
87 was the year.
Yeah. And you know, we were doing a lot of experimentation with channel bottoms at that time at Sunset, and they did work when we didn't have cavitation. We had a big, massive cavitation problem where we were trying to make the fins smaller, and the channels were compensating for the fins. But what happened then was...
when you say cavitation, you mean pushing water?
It's cavitation, it's just catching air in the channels, and what it does is it makes the board go a touch sideways. So you have no control over the board at all.
Yep.
And you've got 15 foot of a West Peak coming down on you, and basically all you can do is just
across the
No, you just got to jump your back foot down.
Try to jam the tail.
Yeah, try to jam the tail to blow the air out.
Yep.
And sometimes it would, and you just the channels would hook in and be like, whoa. And then other times you'd be just like, you know, good on you, AB.
And is there any one wave on that board that stands out? Have you got one that you remember?
Yeah, in that event, I remember Mickey Nielsen was my caddy, and
In the first one or the Billabong?
The Billabong.
The Billabong, second one. Yeah.
And I got this wave, and it was west. I remember it had west in it because the bowl was just beautiful, really hollow. And I got the first one, it was kind of a nice tube, and I paddled and I said, "Oh, how was that one?" He goes, "You got to get deeper." And so I got another one and got deeper, and then actually the third one was mind-boggling.
Yep.
And yeah, and like I said, the pipe board is very special, but you know, I regarded back then Sunset was my place.
Yep.
And to win those events back to back will never happen again. I don't think they'll ever run 2 events at Sunset. They weren't qualifying events either. They were championship events. Yeah. And I think just touching bases on that Triple Crown stuff, I think they really need to readdress that all those events in Hawaii are championship events. It's absurd that Sunset's not a championship event.
Yep. And you think it detracts from the value of the Crown?
I think it's Triple Crown doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
In any other sport, you have world championship events going for a Triple Crown. Now you have 2 qualifying events and a world championship event.
Yeah.
So I hope that they should really get that together.
I certainly think Hawaii warrants more than one championship event.
Oh, listen, Kelly Slater's never won a contest at Sunset. Think about that for a sec.
Yeah.
You know, he's got not taking anything away from Kelly. It's just phenomenal.
But it is a different sort of way.
It's pipe. There's a boil. You take off a pipe and you pull in. Sunset's a whole nother ball game. And if you don't have your lineups and you haven't done your hours there, you got no chance. You know. Yeah.
Where do they live now, Gary? And you just got them back. Just tell us quickly what happened.
Well, a mate of mine in France, Reed Pinder, who's the CEO of Billabong over there, when I left France about 7 years ago now, he was holding them, and he's a bit of a collector himself.
Right.
And he just wouldn't send them back. He's going, "Oh, you got to come and get them." And you know, I've got the pipe trophy of that too, that amazing samurai hat that they used to give us. And he called 2 weeks ago and said, "Oh, listen, they're on the plane with DHL, here's your number." And I was like, wow. And I was calling customs and stuff, DHL, because it took 3 days to get from France to Australia.
Yeah.
And then from Sydney up here, it took like 9 days.
Yeah.
So I'm like stressing out, right?
Days of,
yeah.
Like
so I'm like stressing out, and then I'm in a swimming lesson, and I see the truck pull up. I've just had to park the kids. Stop, out, everyone out, out of the pool. We got it. Kids, come and have a look at this. Yeah. So yeah.
What are you gonna do with them? Just put them up?
These are going to probably be handed down to my daughter.
Yep.
You know, these pieces here in a few more years or in 20 years are going to be amazing. You don't see that stuff anymore. That sort of channel bottom design and that deep, you know.
Did you hear that? You can't get them on eBay. Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
That's great, Gary. Thanks, mate.
Yeah.